This is Ola, man of prestige, your favorite relationship and marriage coach. If you enjoyed this, smash that like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs it. Be a part of the Prestige family. My wife Lola and I have written 2 powerful books, Get My Marriage Back and Number 1 Red Flag, yours free at manofprestige.com. For personal coaching, send me a WhatsApp request for consultation to +1 732 305 8577. Stay tuned for more. Your journey to love and prestige starts here. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Do me a favor, hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications so you're notified when we go live. Let's hit the ground running. We have a story here. I guess Regina Daniels has spoken up a little bit today. So let's go ahead and listen to this video together, and then we'll take it from there.
Hi guys, I'm here at the hospital. I'm about to run my drug tests.
I have to turn up the music over there.
For something he would you were confirmed,
there we go.
But you're negative completely, okay? So you have nothing to worry about. And then if they're giving you any problem, just give us a call back at this phone number. Okay? Thank you.
All right, so she's crying. All right, so we're looking at Regina Daniels. She went to do a drug test, so she's about to talk. Let's listen in.
Hi everyone, it's Regina Daniels. You know, I don't believe that I would sit in front of this camera again trying to clear up an accusation that was sent to destroy me. You know why? I don't fight my battles. I leave them to God. Because I believe so deeply that any mouth raised to speak evil against me will in time use the same mouth to speak good. Well, it's a new year, and with it came a moment of clarity. I realized that there are certain narratives I can no longer allow linger over my name as a public figure. I also realized how many people love me, look up to me, support me, and believe in me. And I would never want that love or loyalty to be met with shame or doubt. One thing I underestimated is the strong personality God blessed me with, and the overwhelming love I received from my family, my fans, friends, and those who just generally believe in me. They stood firmly by me when everything felt heavy. And some people walked away, which is totally fine, because I understand that people rarely want to be associated with what looks like failure. And not everyone can stand when storms arise. I mean, tell me, what better way to tear down a brand than drugs? Still, I am endlessly grateful for the opportunity to speak my truth and to reclaim my story. Believe me when I say, taking this test, it's not just about clearing my name. It's about giving a strong and confident voice to those who believe in me. And above all, to give my children something priceless. Pride. That when they grow up to the proper age of understanding, they would know that their mother was never a drug addict. Regina Daniels is not a drug addict. I'm aware that many will make reference to the past posts I made about drugs. But that belongs to the old version of me. That shouldn't or will never define who I am today. And please note, I was never on any hard drugs or any nonsense fabricated online. I will sue. I will definitely sue at the appropriate time. And honestly speaking, the only drugs I was associated with was ecstasy, popularly known as money. Believe it or not, there was a reason for that, which I will explain. No, I mean, which I will never, ever explain anymore. It hurts so much to watch a brand my family and I built with love, patience, sacrifice, and consistency nearly torn apart. But God stood firmly. Yes, He said no. And that's a grace no man, I mean, no one can ever contend with. I also want to say a big thank you to everyone who stood by me. I love and appreciate you all. And to those I disappointed, please accept my sincere apologies. But trust me, your disappointment will not last for long. It's not by my power, but by the grace of God. Thank you so much, everyone, and a happy new year.
Wow, wow,
Okay,
wow,
so-
wow, wow. All right, so I'm gonna mute that. Well, let's talk about Regina Daniels real quick. She said a lot in that video, but let me read our caption out. If you know, you know. We've been talking about Regina Daniels and Eduoko. Regina Daniels, an actress out of Nigeria, and she was married recently to a Senator Nedunwoko, and she has run away from the house, and she's not allowed to see her kids now until further notice. Nedunwoko insists that she must go through drug testing, but it looks like she's in the US, and she just went to do the drug test by herself, and she showed some videos and stuff like that. And for those of you that are obsessed with looking for evidence, this is better than a VDM style evidence any day. That's a real clinic that she went to, and she showed the report. You can zoom in and you can look at it. I didn't, because honestly, I don't. The stories already make sense to me. But if you want to, you can zoom in and look at it. The caption says, the past few months of my life have been nothing short of heavy. One of those seasons that tries to sit on your chest and ask, so what are we doing next? It has been a major turning point, one that shook me to my core. Everything I had ever known was drowning right in front of me, but here's the plot twist. I didn't drown with it. Why? Because I was carried by overwhelming love, support, patience, and understanding from my family, my friends, members of the general public. And for that, I am forever grateful. And much reflection and a few very long conversations with myself, I decided to take this test because I owe it to the people who stood by me, the people who love me, and the people who love up to me. Integrity matters, accountability matters, peace of mind especially matters. One thing that echoed loudly across the media was Regina is a drug addict. And honestly, I paused when I checked again. I looked at myself in the mirror repeatedly, searching for this so-called addict. I searched so hard, it almost felt like I was going psychic, because surely I must be missing something. That's when it hit me. People often project their fears, insecurity, um, insecurity, and the negativity onto you, but projection is not reality and noise is not truth. Here's a choice we all have to make. Do you allow yourself to be defined by other people's opinions, or do you create your own narrative? As for me, I chose the latter every single time. I like how she said create narrative, not control narrative. What Panet seems to be doing mostly on their side is to control the narrative. Well, it's not just him. The general people that don't know how to use their power would do that. Okay, this can go from anywhere from personal relationships to even at a macro level, societal issues. Okay, creating narrative is nothing wrong with that, especially if you're creating narrative, trying to tell a story, right? But controlling narrative, there could be a blurry line between the two, I might add. Let me continue. It says, the same mouth that was used to spoil my name is the same mouth that will build it back up. This chapter of my life is now about self-discovery, self-growth, and becoming even more intentional about who I am and where I'm going. I thank God endlessly for his grace, his strength, and his excellence in my life. Because if there's one thing I know for sure, is that he has carried me through it all. I'm still standing, still growing, and just getting started. And yes, we move. Happy New Year, everyone. Type share. I can see Natasha Akpoti says, your journey is yours to own, and I am so proud of you, my darling. All right, that's a nice one. Peter P Square said, remain blessed, Gina. Looks that Zip P Republic looks good on you. Okay. This is my very own. Looks like that's Ayola. Shout out to Ayola. Annie DBI is there showing some love. The mom of 5 is there showing some love. These are very, very important people everywhere. Bam Bam, I think that's the actress. Mercy Johnson, of course, showing some love. A lot of people. Oh wow. So she's right that she's getting a lot of love. But besides the love that she's getting, this story makes sense if you sit down, you pay attention. If you have, I'm not going to say anything. Remember yesterday when we covered this, we talked about character assassination. I asked a very simple question: is Ned Nwoko, did he characteristically assassinate our character? That was the question. I'm still asking that question because now she's saying she's going to sue. Okay, see, you can say, but she used Molly. I see some people in the comment, but say, oh, so Molly, na lollipop. I thought that was a funny question, but I've never been on drugs. I've never smoked a cigarette a day of my life. There's been one occasion that I smoked a cigar. I was on a ship, I think on a ship with some people in Puerto Rico or something like that, and I was like, hey. I'm like over 40. Let me test this thing. What is this thing about? So, but people like me that have never done it before, people like me have a tendency to address this kind of issues from a very myopic standpoint, basically my own righteousness, right? Without asking any questions. The reality is that an average person out there might smoke, they might drink, they might smoke a little marijuana, they might smoke medicinal marijuana, they might do it for recreational. They will do things you will never do for recreational purposes, and that doesn't mean they're addicted, right? Sometimes we take it to the extent of even sexual activities, even things like masturbation. We judge with our own mind. We don't really pay attention to what happens in the grand scheme of things. So what do? We tend to judge. Now, the other thing we tend to say is that we might say things like, oh, just call out a spade a spade. Let's just call it what it is. Smoking is smoking and drug is drug. But actually, it's not just an opinion. You're actually just wrong. I know you like to call out a spade, but I want to leave it right there. Just wanted to drop some hints in there for you. I want you to think about this, right? Could she be addicted? Yes. This doesn't really tell us much. I want you to, beyond looking for evidence, just think about this case by your own. How can people be manipulative? How can you assassinate a person's character even though you're telling the truth? Where do you choose between trust and truth? Most human beings, not most, all human beings will choose trust over truth. That's the reality. Okay? If a person doesn't make you feel like you can trust them, even if they're telling you the truth, you will tend to push against the truth, okay? Because you can't trust them. It makes you feel unsafe. So can you add that into your assessment? I really like to hear your thoughts on this one. Do me a favor. That was Regina basically speaking her truth. She created a narrative, and I'm asking, do you believe the narrative or not? Abi, you're still calling cap on it. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications so you're notified whenever we go live. I'll be right back. Let's get into some other trendy stories around the world. This is Ola, Man of Prestige, your favorite relationship and marriage coach. If you enjoy this, smash that like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs it. Be a part of the Prestige family. My wife, Lola, and I have written 2 powerful books, Get My Marriage Back and #1 Red Flag, yours free at manofprestige.com. For personal coaching, send me a WhatsApp request. for consultation to +1 732 305 8577. Stay tuned for more. Your journey to love and prestige starts here. Welcome back. Let's talk about Pastor Jamal Bryant and Karri Jamal Bryant declared that I guess they're on Tamara Hall's show. Let's listen to this video and then we'll talk.
Do you have even a sliver of doubt before you walked out to go to the event about the dress and that it might create a stir?
People have said, oh, you know, she knew it would get this reaction. My ego is not that big.
Wow.
I don't dress for people. I dress for myself and for my husband. I am a wife. Yeah. I'm a wife. I'm a daughter. I have a doctorate. I'm a professor. There are plenty of things that I do. And the challenge is we often want to see a woman be one-dimensional. I am multi-dimensional. I carry multiple titles. Now, what you choose to call me on whatever day is fine for whatever that might be. But I think that there is this idea that a woman can only be one thing. And once I happened to marry a pastor, I happened to fall in love with a man who is a pastor, right? And so with that came the title of First Lady, but there is no book for that. There is no manual for what that looks like. And I have decided that the title does not define me. I define what the title is.
All right. Shout out to Tamara Hall. That's a clip from the Tamara Hall show. And that is the Pastor Jamal Bryant's wife. She had something to say, but let me play. There's a second video. We played a reaction from Jamal Bryant himself yesterday. By the way, he's the pastor of New Birth Church in Atlanta, in Georgia. I don't know what part of Atlanta, in Georgia. And they were dragged over the past few days because of this picture right here, this dress. The Christian body, the body of Christ, they've dragged this young lady by way of her husband, and including some fellow bishops in the body of Christ. They dragged this couple, brand new couple, by the way, for wearing that dress. I know you're looking closer, like, wait, is that a transparent dress? No, the husband said it's a flesh color. Why are you showing us flesh color, sir? But anyway, but they've been dragged and critically judged, if you will, So now I'm asking the question today with this reaction: is this pride, her submission? Is it pride still, or is it poor social IQ? Because honestly, if you're a pastor, the reality is that there are certain behaviors expected of you, yes, even in 2026. And I'm shocked, more so that you're shocked, if you're surprised as a pastor. We're going to talk about pastor a little bit here today. But let me play this video. I think he has something to say extra here.
Did, however, stand out to me that there were religious leaders who used their platforms to say things that I truly was confused by it. We talk about grace. We talk about understanding. There was at least one bishop who said that I'm paraphrasing here because it's actually really hard to even say, but implied that you were treating her like a prostitute. Essentially,
like
is what
a
he
$2
said.
It's very painful. I don't use my platform to preach against other preachers when there's so much that's going on in the world. And
did it hurt? I mean, this is the woman, as you said,
yes.
When your 5 habits, one of them was to protect her.
Yes.
And to not be defensive in protecting her.
Yes.
How did it feel? Because it is your wife.
Yeah, it was very enraging and irritating. And at the end of the day, I had to think to myself, to respond to that, does that grow the church or does it diminish it? And so at that moment, I had to separate my humanity and really deal with my divine call.
Another one.
It did.
He said, does it grow? His response, I think it was honest enough, in my opinion. His response, would it grow the church or diminish it? I think he was probably thinking about that once it's after he had created some damages already. Creating damages doesn't mean it's too late. It's never too late to correct your course, as long as there's still life, right? Where there's life, there's hope. So I like his response there. But is it social IQ or is it pride still talking? I'm sure they might have been scheduled for this show before already. I think the show is airing today, so I didn't get to see the full context, but it doesn't matter. The question, I think really what we should get out of this is, understanding that social intelligence is not this destination that you get to and you know it all. Okay, why? Because the human experience is a moving target, right? What used to be cool 20 years ago might not be cool today anymore. And you might say it's not cool, it's no longer cool anymore, and you might just be too early. Sometimes you're too early. Maybe you're thinking too progressive or progressively, and you're too early to woke generation, right? And it's okay to make such mistakes and say, hey, maybe I shouldn't have responded that way. Maybe I should have taken it a little bit easier in terms of, can I wear flesh color dress as a first lady? Just maybe, just maybe. But in terms of what she had to say, I don't know, I think she was going into angles that's not relevant, the title, I have too many titles, and I define what a first lady title is. What are you telling? Are you telling that to social media or what? Who are you explaining that to? Because when it comes to social media, as you know, you go explain, because no evidence. The general public is right more so than ever before. The way we say that in the corporate world is that the market is always right. Some of you will be like, no. The market is not always right. Like, who are you arguing with? I don't understand. Explain, because no evidence. At that point, you're arguing with your destiny, okay? Because you will have to yield to the marketplace in one way, shape, form, or the other. It's just the way it is, okay? Because at some point, you get dragged by the public and it starts to affect your brand or whatever you stand for, the things that you care so much about. I know you just want to tell the truth. Let's just call it spade a spade. There's nothing that she wore that was wrong. Me and you agree on that. It's not a matter of right and wrong. As a matter of fact, if you think what she wore was right, you're absolutely right.
Well, you're right.
But here's the thing. That's not going to stop the public from dragging you to the extent, if you're a public figure, dragging you to the extent that you start to care. I don't care. I know you don't care. You don't care. Me too. I don't know who cares more. Is it me or you? Because I don't care either. Okay? I don't. I'm looking for my clip here. Where is it? Aha.
Don't care. Don't care. Don't care. Still don't care. I don't care. I don't. I don't care.
Yeah. I promise you, you will care. If you have enough to lose, if you stand for something, you will care at some level, to some extent. I'm not saying you should conform to everything, but you should probably pay attention to how you show up, because that's part of your social intelligence. Okay. It doesn't mean you have to yield. It just means you're self-aware. You're paying attention, and it's not just about right or wrong. If you get stuck on that right and wrong stuff, you will always miss it, and you will speak from a place where you'll be judged. You will continue to be judged as speaking from a place of pride. Okay. And there's a blurry line between the two. This is applicable to all of us. We have to pay attention. Sometimes the market is always right. I'll tell you that. Okay. I can't tell you, even this platform right here, I can't tell you how many times I try to argue against the platform because I have what I believe I'm supposed to do. But the market will say, hey, no, this is what we want. It's real life. Okay. And it's pretty natural for you to push against the market, but I just want you to pay attention. And if you want to do that, be intentional with respect to social intelligence about that. Do me a favor, hit the like button, share, subscribe. Let me know what your thoughts are about this. Give me your opinion. Your opinions are all welcome. That's what makes up the marketplace. Please hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications so you're notified when we go live. I'll be right back.
This is Ola, man of prestige, your favorite relationship and marriage coach. If you enjoyed this, smash that like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs it. Be a part of the Prestige family. My wife Lola and I have written 2 powerful books, Get My Marriage Back and #1 Red Flag, yours free at manofprestige.com. For personal coaching, send me a WhatsApp request for consultation to +1 732 305 8577. Stay tuned for more. Your journey to love and prestige starts here.
All right, let's listen to this video from Cam Newton. Shout out to It's On Site. As Cam Newton continuously speak on fearing divorce. Let's listen in.
At an audience, when all the audiences are gone and it's just you, what's going on in here?
I'm at peace the most. But there's a lot of me that asks the question, are you going to fight for me?
Mm-hmm.
Because when I was vulnerable to the individuals, that's family, that's friends, that's partners, are you going to fight for? That's what I'm most scared of. Because everybody in love, everybody want to walk down, everybody want to do all the festive marital stuff that the Bible don't even say. And when I call it out, I'm like, yo, the Bible ain't never mentioned no honeymoon. The Bible ain't never mentioned the ring. The Bible ain't never mentioned spending millions and thousands of dollars on a marriage celebration. The Bible didn't say a lot of these things, but if we're going off of the Bible's accord, there's a lot of worldly things that have crept into it. So now for me, above all, going back to the most impactful vow, for me, I want to know without a shadow of a doubt, for better or for worse. But don't just walk with me when it's for the betterment of you.
Yeah, I got it.
And that's that part. And as long as people understand that, when you are hurt,
come get me. Come.
I may tell, man, get the hell away.
But don't pay that no attention.
That's a character. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But then some will say, "Oh, that's toxic. Miss me with that." It's like no.
Toxic masculinity.
Yeah. You know, they
when
got
it's
different
really
words.
A test.
It's.
Will you come get me? It's really a test because your definition of love is proven by you, the other person coming to get you, and that way you don't have to worry about abandonment.
Checkmate.
I got you.
I take you through these courses just to see. I want it. This is the only way I can find out.
Yeah.
I mean, you call it how I see it, man. My father ain't raised no fool now. And I done got food before. So for me, I need to sit up here and say like, hey, hold on. I hate to do this to you, baby. I gotta see. You know what you got in me, the good. But I really don't know. And that's what I'm afraid of. That's not to say that I can't come along or come around to being that or everybody to understand that. It's like, yo, this journey.
It's a journey.
It's a journey, but it's lopsided until it's not.
You've always had an...
All right, so that was Cam Newton. All right, let's talk about it. So Cam Newton is a 36-year-old. I think it's an ex-footballer or something like that. So let me tell you who this guy is. Cam Newton, an American former professional football quarterback who played in the National Football League for 11 seasons. Wow, he's a legend. Primarily with the Carolina Panthers. Nicknamed Super Cam, he is second in career quarterback rushing touchdowns and third in career quarterback rushing yards. All right, so that's who he is. 36-year-old man is afraid of not marriage but of divorce. Can we be honest? He's afraid of not marriage but he's afraid of divorce. Okay, this caption on this on-site post says, continuously speak on fearing divorce and protecting the sanctity of marriage. You have to pick one for the sake of this conversation, just for the sake of understanding and lessons. We have to pick one. Is it fearing divorce or protecting the sanctity of marriage? Protecting the sanctity of marriage and fearing divorce are two different objectives, at least for the sake of this conversation. It says one might question how that perspective aligns with creating families across multiple households. Okay, so once upon a time, there's a lady, Dr. Bryant was, I forgot her first name. Dr. Bryant was on Cam Newton's podcast, and he had this conversation because he has multiple baby mamas. Okay, so protecting the sanctity of marriage. So now he's put himself in a position where people will continue to question his sense of judgment if he's creating multiple households all over the place, right? And then it says, and whether divorce is truly more damaging than children growing up in fractured family structures. So shout out to Dr. Pastor T.D. Jakes. I think it's a good conversation they're having over there. Personally, I will go and find that podcast and watch it, and I'll see if I can link it in the description as well.
But the couple of things I wanted to say to this conversation before we move on, like I said, fearing divorce and protecting the sanctity of marriage. Men would tend to, in the name of protecting sanctity of marriage, express their fear for divorce, and they will call it protecting the sanctity of marriage. It's something I've noticed, and that honestly, that creates a lot of confusion for anybody who cares to listen, including yourself. It creates you need to choose one. Is if you're afraid, he used the word afraid. That was the most honest thing he said. If you're afraid of divorce or somebody coming to take advantage of you, you need to focus on that fear. And shout out to as I was about to say, Dr. TDJs. Pastor TDJs actually said, hey, it's actually a test. But I think he missed that point, that this is actually a test. And then he spoke about the fear of abandonment, and then he calls it checkmate. But I'm not sure if you really heard it, because oftentimes these kind of guys, they talk more than they listen. They try to. I've listened to some of his podcasts. I think he tries to listen. As a matter of fact, I will argue for him that he created his podcast so he can listen more. But it's listening is easier said than done. Listening to understand as opposed to listening to respond. Shout out to Natu. Hello, Natu. Good to see you. So, and then he goes, you call it how I see it. That right there is coconut head. What do I call it? That's called coconut head.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
Okay, so for those of you that don't understand what coconut head is, it means pride. It means probably more so ego, right? Ego. No, it's how you see it. It's how all of us, even when we're speaking facts, it's still how we see it. And I think a very good place to start your humility is to acknowledge that this is just how I see it. And I mean, not just saying it, to actually mean that so that you can be open-minded to listen to other people's point of view. To the point itself, which is the whole thing about fear of divorce. I can understand if anyone is afraid of divorce in this time and age, especially with the rates of divorce out there. I can understand it, but we need to acknowledge it. We need to say, hey, I am afraid of divorce. Please stop capping around.
Stop the cap.
You don't care about the institution of marriage that much. Can we stop the cap? You care only about how you feel. And that's me too. Okay, all I speak for yourself. No, I'm speaking for you too. You care about how you feel, and that's about it. And that's what I'll say. Will people pick trust over truth? When I say trust, meaning would you entertain people you trust more than the people that speak the truth? You will entertain the people you trust the more, and you will call it the truth. Stop the cap.
Stop the cap.
Okay, so I think this young man, like many young men today, are afraid of divorce because they don't want to put so much into it. When I say so much, I know ladies, you might think it's not so much, but to a man, it's so much. When you put commitment into one lady, that's a lot. That's a lot. And the last thing you want somebody to do is come in there, and then 2 years later, they pull the rug from under you, even when you're wrong.
Everything I do,
So I understand the fear. I get it. Okay. But if you want to really address the fear, which I think he does he needs to address the fear. You need to address the fear. You need to own it fully, that this is my fear. It's fear of abandonment. You need to talk to someone, seek the help you need, because your mothers from 1960s are not coming out again. What you're going to have is modern women. Yes, even when they present as quote unquote pick-me's. All right, do me a favor, hit the like button, share, subscribe. Let me know what your thoughts are around that. I want to hear your opinion, and let's move on to some other trendy stories around the world. I'll be right back.
This is Ola, man of prestige, your favorite relationship and marriage coach. If you enjoyed this, smash that like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs it. Be a part of the Prestige family. My wife Lola and I have written 2 powerful books, Get My Marriage Back and #1 Red Flag, yours free at manofprestige.com. For personal coaching, send me a WhatsApp request for consultation to +1 732 305 8577. Stay tuned for more. Your journey to love and prestige starts here. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about faith meets FABU. If you don't know what FABU is, I don't know if it's a slang or where it came from, but usually we use to reference a lie, a joke, or yeah, like probably more like a joke, closer to a joke than it's a lie, right? But basically, when somebody tells a FABU, they're telling a joke, but potentially a lie. We will say, hey, you're telling a lie, you're telling FABU. So faith meets FABU, pastors, birth control, and fibroids. Let's listen to this video and let's take it from there.
Seen one woman and said that she's finding it hard to conceive that does not have fibroid. So I got concerned. I wanted to know what's the major cause of fibroid. I started checking. Let me leave you to go and check, Abby. Birth control pills, abortion pills. Who closed it?
Olodo. Wait, okay, let's go to
Once the people just mount stage, my friend said I should stop calling it pulpit.
Love the hype.
Immediately the rubbish starts coming out of their mouth. It is no longer pulpit, it is stage. So you mount stage and you just opened your mouth. Wow. Okay, let's assume you are an illiterate. There are a lot of people that go into businesses and they thrive. They excel in that business, not because they are educated or they went to school, but because they have common sense. Okay, you decided that you want to do church business. At least to some extent, you should be knowledgeable about some things. Before you climb your stage to preach, you should have an idea of whatever it is that is coming out of your mouth. But no, you just decided to show the whole world how dumb you are. So what you're trying to tell me now is Sarah in the Bible, Hannah, Rebecca, Rachel, and all of them, the reason why they were barren was because they had fibroids due to abortion pills and whatever pill you mentioned. Can you see that there is nothing upstairs? And this is some people's daddy GO. It's all right.
I've not seen one woman and said that she's finding it hard to conceive that does not have fibroid. So I got concerned. I wanted to know what's the major cause of fibroid. I started checking. Let me leave you to go and check, Abby. Birth control pills.
All right, so maybe he was taken out of context. Maybe that was a small clip. Let's give him some grace. But let's use this opportunity to educate ourselves a little bit. Some people will say, well, Google is not my source. Like I go to, when people say Google is not their source, I say, where did you go? And they're usually crickets. They're usually confused. Google is it's never anybody's source. Google is more like an indexed, it's a search results index that index sources of truth. Google will lead you and you have to do your research and stuff like that. And today we have the AI tools, we have ChatGPT, we have Gemini, and I use both. And then it doesn't tell me, like, the truth you get out of those things is also a function of the prompt that you put into it. So it's not about just reading them out as complete truth. But the reality is that Google, either you talk about Google, Gemini, or ChatGPT, knows more than all of us. Okay, at the end of the day, it knows more than all of us. So let's just stop telling lies to ourselves just because it sounds good. Google is your no, shut up. Okay, I know on the surface it might sound like you're saying something profound, but there's nothing profound. Google will lead you to better truth than your own close-minded sources of truth. Okay, at least you can learn, then rub minds, and then see, and then come up with your own truth. Maybe a much more educated truth. But this is what my own AI tool is telling me when I ask a simple question: does birth control causes fibroids for women? I didn't have to ask it to know that that's probably false. I didn't have to know that man right there talking is probably just trying to overemphasize on his judgmental stance on the issue of, he wasn't talking about, he doesn't care about fibroid. He just cares he cares about child control. I mean, what do you call it? Childbirth control. That's what he really wants to talk. And he just wants to shame. Okay. That's my opinion. I acknowledge it's a small clip. It's easy to take him out of context, and I don't know who he is. Okay, but let me just read this out loud. The relationship between birth control and uterine fibroids is complex, but the short answer is birth control does not typically cause fibroids to develop. In fact, for many women, birth control is used as a treatment to manage the heavy bleeding and pain that fibroids cause. However, because fibroids are sensitive to hormones, the impact of birth control can vary depending on whether you already have them or what type of birth control you use. 1, does it cause or prevent them? Many studies suggest that long-term use of oral contraceptives may actually reduce the risk of redeveloping or developing fibroids. Some research shows that women who use the pill for several years have a lower chance of forming this growth compared to those who have never used it. My guess is that this young man just started preaching and he didn't feel the need, because all he has is faith, is scriptures, right? So he didn't feel the need to probably do a little bit more research before he makes such an outlandish, crazy claim, right? Another one is conflicting data. While most evidence points to a protective effect, some older and specific studies have shown a slight increase in risk for certain groups, such as very early users or those using high-dose pills. Overall, the medical consensus is that they are not a primary cause. Okay, so can we at least say it's not a primary cause, even if there's some kind of indirect potential if you start using it early? The point here is that there's nuances to this, and like I've always said, the dictionary is not going to give you enough nuances. You have to continue to study, continue to develop yourself, self-development, so that you're not just very quick to run to the dictionary for the meanings of words. You use the words you already know how to use, but you also understand that life, the human experience, has nuances to it, right? So, and if you don't, you will just always be judgmental, even when your intentions are right. You will just be coming off judgmental. In other words, you will kill the level of trust that people can have around you because you are judgmental. Or you will gather people in an echo chamber, that people that tend to be judgmental, and you'll gather them, and then you guys will continue to lead each other astray. The blind leading the blind. Okay. Another one says this is where it gets tricky. Fibroids feeds on estrogen and progesterone. High dose pills, older and higher dose estrogen pills may potentially stimulate the growth of existing fibroids in some women. All right. So that's good to know. Most modern birth control pills are low dose and are generally not thought to cause significant fibroid growth. Hello, Marriott. Good to see you, Marriott. Most modern birth control pills are low dose. Okay, we already said that. Now, another one says methods like the mini pill, the hormonal IUD, Marina. I don't know what these things are. You guys can educate yourselves in the comments. Or the Depo-Provera. The Depo-Provera shot contain only progestin. These are often preferred for women with fibroids because they are less likely to trigger growth and are highly effective at thinning the urine lining to stop heavy bleeding. All right, last but not least, if you have fibroids, your doctor might actually prescribe. Hold on 1 second. If you have fibroid, your doctor might actually prescribe birth control. To 1, it thins the uterine lining, reducing the heavy flow. Over cost, by the way, of course, talk to your medical professionals, right? By stopping ovulation, it reduces pain. By stopping ovulation and regulating cycles, it can decrease severe cramping. And then number 3, manage anemia by reducing blood loss. It helps prevent. Okay, so to our pastors, okay, please, let's stop all the FABUs coming out of the stages. Some of them are on the internet. They literally say things out of their ass because it will push a certain religious. We need to be careful, okay? If I were you, I would put everything in my power to start separating faith ideologies from what we know and what we'll continue to discover. Okay, just separate the two. You can still preach your gospel without being manipulative, without using manipulative or faith-based manipulative tactics. I'm going to bring up another story momentarily to continue to highlight that, but let me know what your thoughts are below. We'll take it from there. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications so you're notified when we go live. Let's move on to some other trendy stories around the world.
This is Ola, man of prestige, your favorite relationship and marriage coach. If you enjoyed this, smash that like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs it. Be a part of the Prestige family. My wife Lola and I have written 2 powerful books, Get My Marriage Back and #1 Red Flag, yours free at manofprestige.com. For personal coaching, send me a WhatsApp request
For consultation to +1 732 305 8577. Stay tuned for more. Your journey to love and prestige starts here.
All right, welcome back. Let's continue our reactions. Shout out to Tamara. All this is another content reaction to that platform. I think right now we have Laterras from Dear Future WIFEY, who just recently got married. Okay, but let me read this comment from Natu real quick. Natu says, when I struggled one time with fibroid and cysts, I was prescribed birth control, which I refused to take. All right, please, let's continue to educate ourselves, and please always talk to your medical. This thing has too many nuances, and it depends on so many things. Make sure you talk to your medical professionals. Do not self-medicate. All right, so let's listen to this video.
You can see him do the work, but fear or doubt can seep in. How did you deal with that?
Yeah, I think it's by his actions, by his consistency.
Give me an example of his actions.
Well, I have his location.
Amen. Amen.
Location.
Ashley, 5,000 answers came to my mind. That one wasn't one of them. You location share.
Yeah.
We had a whole show that debated location sharing, and I was on the fence about it.
Okay.
But you do. But I love it. I just don't do it. And I have nothing to hide. But I love that you trust each other. That was a step that was needed.
And I gave it to her first. You know, I gave her my location, and I gave her the PIN code to my phone. And so I said, anytime you want to check anything, check it. I don't have nothing to hide.
It wasn't because I questioned what he was doing. It was because he will work really late. He'll come, get home late. He'll drive home late when he's in the studio working on editing or things like that. And so there was a day where I just was like, are you okay? I don't know where you are. He fell asleep in the studio. He said,
but because of his background and some of the things you go, is he okay? And then you go, wait a minute, is he okay? You can see him do the work.
All right, so that's they're talking about Laterras, this young man right here, Whitfield, and his new wife, Ashley Whitfield. You know, I see a lot of people dragging Laterras on the internet. And then sometimes I wonder, I understand why they're dragging him. You know, people just, I think the woke generation despise the sight of perfection. If you act like your shit don't stink, they would dig into it and start looking for something they can drag you about. It's just what it is. If you're popular enough. Nancy said, never did birth control when I was diagnosed with fibroid. All these low budget pastors. Some of your big pastors are doing it though. May God help us. Sometimes I love Baba Adeboye. I just don't want him to speak to expertise topics. Sometimes I need to speak strictly life stuff, faith stuff. Please do not extend into, like, for example, there was a testimony that Baba gave about some girl that ran into his hotel room with him that opened her clothes. He took to open her dress. I'm like, Baba, these are the kind of testimonies you probably shouldn't be giving in 2026. But okay, I believe you, sir. But let's get back to location sharing in marriage. Do you believe in location sharing in marriage? Right, this is one of those conversations about that creates a blurry line between privacy, secrecy. What are you hiding? Why don't you see that young lady? I think she's married, Tamara All. She said, I just don't do it. I don't have anything against it. I just don't do it. I think it poses a very, very important conversation as we move into the new era and we have new gadgets and new, should you share your location? Okay. And if you want to know personally, do I share my location with my wife? Yes, we do. Okay, we do. Okay, but there's a reason, and it's not because of what you think. It's not because of transparency. I think transparency is for, in most people's idea, it's a fallacy. It doesn't exist. Whatever you mean by that, I was about to correct. Whatever the F you mean by transparency, it really doesn't exist. Okay, you can be all transparent you want, and then the opposite side effect of it is actually wrong. It's opposed to. It's not what you want. Like the end objective that you're looking for, which is, I guess, full transparency and trust. It's not what you. And you can see, it was very quick to say, and I gave it first. That gave it first. It's like,
red flag. Okay, red flag. Why are you giving her your location so fast? If she refuses to give you her location, would that be a problem? Right? Right. So would that be a problem? Let me play that video again. I think that, yeah, right here. I'll play that video again so you can see how fast he was saying that.
But fear or doubt can seep in. How did you deal with that?
Yeah, I think it's by his actions, by his consistency.
Give me an example of his actions.
Well, I have his location.
Okay, the first two answers was perfect. His actions, his consistency was perfect. The location, this doesn't help anyone in the grand scheme of things. What do you mean it doesn't help anyone? Again, you're going to need to think a little bit deeper than surface level. Just, okay, compare the two. The actions is consistency, right? Compare that with location. One of them is discrete logic. You know exactly where they are at any point in time. No, you know where the phone is. You don't know where they are. You only know where the phone is, okay? If it comes down to a matter of survival, always remember this, that human beings will cheat, steal, and lie if they have to do those things to survive. What about moral standard? You missed what I just said. Survivor, and I'm including emotional survival in that. Sometimes you're just you're good enough a nag, and somebody's just, they rather not hear your mouth. They will, yeah, you can call them a coward if you want, okay? Call them any name, any labels you like, but they would rather not. They would rather not deal with your mouth because, you know, you don't know where to stop. All right, so consistency is action. It continues to show up whenever that naturally makes any human being, and of course especially women, make them feel safer long term, that to the point that even if you're committing bad behavior, they'll let you slide all the time because they feel safe and secure with you. Security is number one for women. You can open your location all you want and share location all you want. If that doesn't make her feel secure, because remember, some people, that's what make them feel secure. But I think that's very myopic and that's very surface level, and that can be short-term in nature. Okay, because it's not deeply rooted in lifestyle. It's much more rooted in a device, right? So some people, that's what make them feel safe. But then you're yielding. But at what point do you stop making them feel safe using tangibles as opposed to a lifestyle? How do you think you can survive that long run? Because it will move away from phones to eventually other things, and they will need to monitor every little thing to the point that they can potentially smother the romantic love in that relationship to death. At what point does it become that? These are the questions that you need to ask yourself when we're talking about this kind of stuff. But let me read this comment before we move forward. Nazis, I honestly never thought of sharing location, but I give my husband my itinerary for the day. Same thing, same difference, right? You give him the itinerary for the day. I do the same thing, even before location sharing, because the person you live with, yes, even as an adult, should kind of know your whereabouts, like just for safety reasons. You know, you have all the SOS these days and all those kind of stuff. Those are all useful stuff, but those are all weapons that you can actually use to manipulate and weaponize against your partner if you're in a very unsafe relationship. If you're in a relationship that doesn't feel safe, those things become weapons. Yes, location sharing will become a weapon. I know you think to you it's not, because you just, let's just share, let's just transparency. It becomes a weapon to that person's sense of safety. And that's something that when we're talking about relationships, marriage, long-term, all of it, you have to pay attention to. So how do you know when to share it? It's like asking a person, how do you know if that's your wife or not? It's like asking a man, how do you know if that's your wife? You know, I tell you, marriage, relationship they are super spiritual endeavors in life. It's a move of faith. You will have to be vulnerable. You have to feel vulnerable enough. If you can't feel vulnerable enough, you're probably better off just doing life alone. Okay? When you feel vulnerable enough, it's one of those things, it's unspoken. You don't have to say it. Like, for example, if I was buying my wife a phone and we're setting up, if I'm buying her a phone, I'm taking care of her beyond just tangibles or monetary, material things. I think I'd rather a woman say if they want to share location or not, knowing fully well that it doesn't really stop me from bad behavior. Okay,
It just means you know where the phone is. I'm just telling you. Instead, focus on making each other feel safe and secure in that relationship. That's more of a difficult thing to do, because once you figure that out, oh yeah, you're on the other side of what we call a beautiful relationship, where you don't have to like monitor people, looking around and digging into devices and all, becoming a detective in your own home, essentially stealing your own joy. I would just be very, very careful when we talk about this. Should a husband and a wife do location sharing? Sure, there's nothing wrong with it. What I'm telling you, it doesn't guarantee anything. What guarantees everything is that this person, well, there's no guarantee in life, but the only thing closest to that is a person that feels safe and secure, that wants to come home. They can't wait to come home to you every day. There's only so much hours in the day, 24 hours. How much time do they have left to start doing BS? Some people are, you never know these people, you see. You're talking about your insecurity. Can we talk about your insecurity? Let me see here. Maya says, this is something the kids used to do, and I thought it was weird. It seems common now. It's everywhere. I would keep location sharing on my children's phone. Yes, because for safety reasons, right? And by the time you start having children, I hope you have a healthy enough relationship that it shouldn't be a big, grand conversation. Right? Because again, anybody who's going to commit bad behavior will do it anyway. But for the safety of the family, I think it's a good idea. Not the safety of the relationship. Those are two different things. Do me a favor, hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications so you're notified when we go live. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let's move on to some other trendy stories around the world. I'll be right back.
This is Ola, Man of Prestige, your favorite relationship and marriage coach. If you enjoy this, smash that like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs it. Be a part of the Prestige family. My wife, Lola, and I have written 2 powerful books, Get My Marriage Back and #1 Red Flag, yours free at manofprestige.com. For personal coaching, send me a WhatsApp request for consultation to +1 732 305 8577. Stay tuned for more. Your journey to love and prestige starts here.
All right, we'll continue in another episode of Keeping Up with the Doris versus Chris Okafor's saga. Let's listen to this video.
When you see a people or a person attacking a church, attacking a man of God, that person is not just a human being. That person is a demon, a devil sent on assignment. If you strike the shepherd, the sheep will scatter. So it is not just about the man of God, about the shepherd. It is about the people also that the shepherd carries. Strike the shepherd, the sheep will scatter. Every time you see attack on a man of God, genuinely who is innocent and they are persecuting, it's not just attack on him, it's an attack on you, because it says the priest will cause the blessing to rest upon you. Number one, it is your blessing that is being attacked. Number two, it said the prophet is in their midst to help them. Number two, it is your head that they are attacking. And thirdly, it said believe the Lord your God and you shall be established. He said but believe in his prophet, you shall prosper. Thirdly, it is your prosperity that is under attack. That is why you can be implicated. The Bible says, blessed is he that does not walk in the counsel of your God. If you sit by anyone that fights what you believe in and you don't do anything, you are exposing yourself to attack if you hang around there. Hosea 12 and verse 1. And verse 13. By a prophet I brought them out. And by a prophet I preserve them. Now, one of the next thing the enemy is fighting is what we are talking about, is your preservation. Whatever you attack or stay around people that attack what God sent to preserve you, you lose the covering.
You lose the covering. Another way to say that is if you attack your husband, you lose your covering. I've never heard a better manipulation ever in my life. This is the best. He's one of the best manipulative submission I've ever heard in my life. What makes it manipulative? It's a long conversation. Doris Ogala, if you chair attacks on Pastor Chris Okafor, your prosperity is at risk. Let me say this. Doris Ogala is not innocent, but I think she's the first to tell us that. She told us all you can use to drag her already. So let's not put too much. The only person that has not been accountable adequately yet is Pastor Chris Okafor in their
in their scandal. If you don't know what we're talking about this young lady you're looking at on the screen came out some weeks ago to drag the pastor Chris Okafor of I forgot the name of his church. She accused him of being the boyfriend, the ex-boyfriend. He was getting ready to marry. He announced he's getting married to a young lady, and then all hell broke loose because she asked, like, where are you going to leave me? What about me? You're not going to marry me too? No, she didn't say too, but something to that effect. Okay. So and that's where all the saga. So people have been pulling up a lot of his rhetoric, a lot of the things, the way he preached. Was at first it almost seemed like it was throwing subliminal at Doris at one time, saying you have a bad character. How can you expect a man to love you and love you? And then we now find out that this man has been single for about 13 years, kind of single, okay? But then allegedly he's created babies everywhere. Well, some young lady came out that recently that he impregnated 3 sisters, her and 2 other sisters. Another young lady who used to be in the choir claimed that she impregnated her. Then the ex-wife from 30 that they've been divorced for over a decade now. She has 4 children with him. Also came and said he impregnated a slew of people, including deacon wives in his church and some girls in the choir, and there's a bunch. She actually mentioned names of people that should come out and do DNA test on their children. So of course Pastor Chris is experiencing a level of scandal at this point in time. Recently he said he's going on vacation / honeymoon to go to solitude. I'm not sure but he's quiet right now. But in the midst of the quietness, they are still continuing to dig up some of the things that he said. But let me read some comments real quick. Mario says, real quick, Jerry, my tongue is a little bit twisted this morning. Scammer telling his customers their prosperity is the hoster. Is that a word? Is that a word? I've never seen that word before. Why are they poor? What? 3 sisters? You didn't see that? Well, what it is, it's one of the episodes. I lost count of which episode we're on in Keeping Up with Doris and Pastor Chris Okafor. But yes, there's some lady already came out to accuse him of impregnating her and her 2 other sisters. So of course, these are all allegations. They are innocent until proven guilty. So let's do this. Some of the comments on that post I just played. Someone said, "Know God for yourself. Your pastor no special past you. We all have free access to communicate and build a relationship, a personal relationship with God." That's key. Let me say this: manipulation is when you're trying to influence another person, but there's no value in what you're bringing to them. It's all about just protecting your image. It's all about protecting anything outside of the person that you're asking them to yield to you. Okay, that's what manipulation is. Okay, some people try to mix manipulation with being persuasive, right? Or they try to say all relationships are manipulation. That's an English problem. Manipulation is not love. Okay, it means you're pouring and you're making sure you're not pouring from an empty cup. When you're pouring into other people. But yes, there is room to understand that there's law of reciprocity in life. Naturally, when you pour into other people, they tend to yield and also pour into you. It's just a law. It's not something you have to manipulate. That's the idea. If you have to manipulate it, that's not manipulation. Yeah, sometimes I use the word seduction as well. But when I use the word seduction, I understand there could be nuances in that. But it means you understand the value. But please, let's practice ethics, okay? Meaning you're bringing value to them, but you already know that when you continue to bring this value to them, they tend to fall in love with the idea of being around you. It's just law of life. It's called attraction, okay? So, but manipulation, just at least it carries such a negative thing that you should never be doing that. It's nothing to be proud of. And it's not sustainable. If you manipulate today to get somebody to you, you have to keep doing it. It's not sustainable. Why are you punishing yourself in that manner? Okay. So as you can see right now, this man's empire has just collapsed because this is what he's been doing all along. And in this time and age, in this digital age, it's going to work. Manipulation is going to work less and less and less. Manipulation can involve you telling the truth. You can use the truth to manipulate people. This is something I want you to understand too. So if you go into I'm just telling the truth. No, you're still manipulative because
You're telling the truth, not with respect to them receiving it as value, or you call it you're telling the truth, but the other person is feeling like you're telling them lies. They're feeling like you're being manipulative, and you're not even listening enough to hear where they're coming from. That's manipulation. So just because you're telling the truth doesn't mean you're not manipulative. Just because you're telling the truth does not mean, remember, that you're not assassinating the character of a person. And the court of law, they know this. They know to, that's why they don't just say, hey, this is the law, you're going to jail. They have to, there's a word they use in legal terms, they have to go to trial for that very reason, right? So it's not just as simple as the law is written, so we just start throwing people in jail. Why? Because it's all subject to interpretation. Okay. Let me see. Mara says, how many pastors and children with their congregation? Disheartening. I know. People take their children. Somebody said yesterday, like especially mothers that take their daughter. A lot of those daughters, because of the trust that they have in those pastors, they have been violated. Obviously, we don't know the numbers, but enough people have committed this type of things, you know. And I've seen it all my life. I've told you guys. So I'm not really surprised when I see, but most human beings are still surprised. I knew it was bad, but not this bad with these pastors. Yeah, we knew it was bad, right? It was obvious from the beginning. Do me a favor, let me know what your thoughts are about this. Hit like button, share, subscribe, leave your comments. Let me know your opinion about this. I haven't seen enough people defending Chris Okafor. I saw somebody comparing him to the late TB Joshua. I said, you see, we have all these people and you were busy dragging TB Joshua. I said, no, it's case by case, okay? Hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notification. Let's move on to some other trendy stories around the world. I'll be right back.
This is Ola, Man of Prestige, your favorite relationship and marriage coach. If you enjoyed this, smash that like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs it. Be a part of the Prestige family. My wife, Lola, and I have written 2 powerful books, Get My Marriage Back and #1 Red Flag, yours free at manofprestige.com. For personal coaching, send me a WhatsApp request for consultation to +1 732 305 8577. Stay tuned for more. Your journey to love and prestige starts here.
All right, welcome back. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications so you're notified when we go live. Let's talk about the hidden cost of a bad marriage. So I want to share 5 hard truths that people learn too late with you. Okay. Before I go into that, let me see his comment here. Okay. Mario says they manipulate them, saying their kids have spiritual husbands. All lies. Yeah. It's something I've seen all my life. There's so many of that activity going on. All they'll say is your mother. That's after your life. So many families have broken up because of people believing pastors without using their senses. So many. And I have personal relationships too where that has happened. So the pastors are human beings. Remember that. Make sure you maintain a personal relationship with your God and engage in self-development. Speaking of self-development, let me get into this. Hard truth number 1 to 5. 1 of 5. A bad marriage punishes youth exuberance. Okay. A bad marriage will punish youth exuberance. You don't get to slide through life just because you're only 18 or 19, 20. Let me even shock you. If you're 13 and your parents are committing certain atrocities, you might have to pay for some of that price. That's the reality about life. Is it fair? No, it's unfair. You're right. But life is unfair, but fair at the same time, right? Let's move on. Hard truth number 2. Pride often disguises itself as confidence. You have to pay attention to these things. I know it sounds like it makes common sense. You're right, it's common sense. It should be. But when you, as an individual, when I'm in my prideful behavior, I'm not always aware. It's a difficult thing to be aware when I am in my prideful behavior, because obviously I care about something. I'm trying to make a point. I'm trying to move a certain way. I have an objective. I have a motive to move that way, and I'm more connected to that motive and those objectives than paying attention to that. Is this being received as being prideful? You know, so it can be a very funny dance between pride and confidence there that I want you to pay attention to. Hard truth, I will come back to it if I have some time. Hard truth number 3 of 5. Fear of divorce will trap you longer than a bad marriage. Gentlemen, this is especially going to you. Women are still not afraid of marriage. They fantasize about love is going to be in love is going to be forever, and they're getting married. It's just that they're also very quick to leave, to dump us. Obviously, that's what the numbers say, right? So, but men are afraid of divorce. That's the truth, okay? And I would even argue that a lot more women are gravitating more in direction of pragmatic analysis. They want to be logical too, because a lot of men are asking them to be logical. So now they're paralysis by analysis. They're paralyzing themselves by overanalyzing everything. So the fear of divorce will trap you longer than in bad marriage. I just want you to know that, and please know some peace with that. Truth number 4 of 5. Mara said they told me I was an Emery. Jesus Christ. May God forgive them. I don't even know if I want forgiveness for these people. I'm not God. Thank God, man will be God. Okay. Anyway, hard truth. Manipulation-based value always expires. If all you do is manipulate people to get them to yield to your talking points, to your ideas, they expire so soon. Everything expires in life, including life, right? But I'm just telling you that manipulative behavior are going to expire faster than ever before. You're going to see more of that. Manipulation is kind of similar to pride. Sometimes we're not aware that we're being manipulative. Why? Because it camouflages as the truth. Like I told you, just because you're telling the truth doesn't mean you're not being manipulative. It simply means you're disconnected from the value that the other person is receiving. Okay, you're influencing them. Yes, you understand your need. You try to influence them. You're trying to get them to understand your point, but you're also disconnected from how your message is landing on the other side. You're not paying attention to the marketplace. In marketing, we call that, you have the market, you have the markets, you have the message, and then you have the media, right? The only thing you pay attention to is media, but you don't pay attention. You're not tracking the results you're creating. You're not paying attention to how the market is receiving your message. Okay, so you're being manipulative. Well, guess what? In real life, either we're talking about relationships, spiritually speaking, everything you can think of in life, it won't last. Eventually, you shall do nothing for, but you shall do nothing against, but for the truth. The truth is undefeated. See that same truth you're trying to tell? The actual truth is undefeated. It will catch up with your unintentional lies, right? So manipulation or manipulation-based value, either in the form of faith, they don't last. Eventually, something will give way for the truth, okay? Because the truth is undefeated. Please know this and know truth. So how should you solve for that? Always pay attention to how you're being received, how your message is landing. That's called communication. Everything else short of paying attention to how your message is being received by the market is not communication. It's just you're just wasting okay? You're just wasting energy, okay? Hard truth number 5. Marriage requires privacy, not disappearance. All right, this one is very nuanced, okay? Marriage, this one is very nuanced, okay? I have to be careful with this because I think this came from the world is dragging Laterras, right? Dear future wifey, they're dragging him, even in spite of that very straightforward content. Some people say, why are you disappearing? Why is your wife looking for you at night? So you see, that's the thing. If you engage in too much shalaye, it's a waste of time too, usually. Okay. But privacy should protect the union. Okay. When we're talking about privacy, it should protect the union. If your idea of privacy is making somebody feel safe in the union, then you're probably not talking about privacy. You're talking about something super personal and selfish, and you should pay attention to that, okay? Secrecy, of course, would destroy trust. We know that, right? But again, there's a blurry line here. Some people, what they're asking for is individuality, but you're busy accusing them of keeping secrets, right? Well, it's not because you've seen a secret, it's because you feel unsafe, right? Or you feel some kind of fear of your own personal insecurity, but you should still express your expectations, whatever you feel, but you should say, I feel, own it fully. That way, the other person doesn't feel like you're attacking them or their character. Okay. And then with respect to all of that, please pay attention to the fact that if any one party, all it takes is one party to lose their sense of individuality, it will breed resentment. Okay. Losing individuality will breed resentment. Breed is, when I use the word breed, that means it might be growing for a long time before it bursts up in your face and destroy everything you care about. All the while you've been right. You've been telling the truth and you have been right. But suddenly you discover that this person is disconnected for you. They no longer want to be with you. They don't want to be around you. And they can't even explain it.
You're right.
All along you've been right. All along you've been right. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Those are the 5 hard truths that sometimes as human beings we find very difficult to learn. Shout out to Uncle Beno. Uncle Beno, you came late. Good to see you, sir. Yeah, shout out to Uncle Beno. That's all I have for you today. Hopefully you've been enlightened, educated. Please do me a favor as you're seeing these videos. Please share, watch, share, add it to your playlist, add it to your watch later. And we're dropping a lot of content right now. We're going AWire. As you know, we might slow down at some point, but right now we're going crazy. So please share this with your friends, share it to your different WhatsApp groups, all those kind of things. If you're getting value out of this, hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications so you're notified whenever we go live. As usual, I'll be right back. Take care. God bless.
This is Ola, man of prestige, your favorite relationship and marriage coach. If you enjoyed this, smash that like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs it. Be a part of the Prestige family. My wife Lola and I have written 2 powerful books, Get My Marriage Back and #1 Red Flag, yours free at manofprestige.com. For personal coaching, send me a WhatsApp request for consultation to +1 732 305 8577. Stay tuned for more. Your journey to love and prestige starts here.